Good evening, good night, good morning, good day. I don't even know how to say ni hao in Chinese. Is that right? Mandarin, Cantonese? But anyway, we are all excited here at Real Tennis Podcast, which is fans podcast, because what a great day of tennis it was early in the morning. Let me make a distinction. Early in the morning, okay? Later on was a massacre. We can just call it that. But Venus Williams did I don't want to say improbably, and I have to take that. Anyway, we're getting ahead of ourselves. But before we get into the experiment, let me introduce my co-host, because I am nothing without these lovely ladies. And I will start as always with Andrea from Solely Tennis Travel.
Hi.
Our foreign correspondent, Janina, all the way from Cincinnati. No, I'm not living in Cincinnati.
You fuck it up every time. Every time.
Somewhere in Ohio. And the lovely Bridge-free Karen from the Cayman Islands.
Hello, everybody.
And Billy, we keep forgetting Billy. And there's myself, that was a guy. That guy. Anyway, ladies, good night, good evening. WTA had a rough spot, I think, this year, and I think the last couple of weeks. But I think
there was a bright spot.
Zhuhai kind of saved them. And I am just all here for how excited I've been for Venus Williams winning 4 matches. She didn't lose a single match in group play, and she didn't lose a single match in our Zhuhai, and she came out on top with 700 points, the Zhuhai title, and guess what, lady? She's back being number in the top 10 number 10 in the world. She's back. Venus is back, bitches. And she's snatching wigs. I mean, like, she was grabbing up on those young girls out there like this. So, ladies, I know we're all Venus. I think the whole world is a Venus fan, basically, except for Buddha Victory. But
you're not a Venus fan. You need to have your head examined.
It's a shade Roberta. But I'm just saying. I don't know if you're on Team Venus, but I must admit, I must say collectively. Usually on my timeline, anyway, people kind of divided one way or the other. They either like Pova, they don't like Pova, they love Serena, they don't like Serena. But everyone was all excited to see a 35-year-old.
We saw your tweet.
Well,
what did she say?
Actually, no. I'm going to forgive Belinda because for 2 reasons. One, Pliskova is her friend. You remember that article that came out several weeks ago about,
because we're all BFFs.
And also, come on. Venus being manhandled Belinda. Okay?
Like a drum.
So, Belinda, it's okay. You can be a little bit shady. Just a little bit. But don't get Martina shady because Venus will handle your ass on court. So, everyone's just excited, I think, to just a 35-year-old Venus Williams take this title, get back to number 7 in the world. I'm at a loss of words to describe.
35 years old, number 7 in the world.
Right. How monumental I think this achievement is in light of what's going on. Ladies, what do you have to say of this? Andrea? Hello?
Well, since Andrea doesn't want to talk.
Okay. Oh, she's back. I thought it was tech issues.
What? So no, it's not. No. I was thinking about it. I think I think what's really nice is that Venus set herself on with a goal. She could see the end game in sight, and she really just turned it on the fall season. And it's a real difference to observe Venus having an end game versus the other ladies. Do you know, like even the men, even on the men's side, people who were trying to get to the World Tour final and basically stumbled at the end. Tsonga. Gasquet.
Andrea. What? I'm trying to be in a perfect Zen place now, and you're trying to bring my anger out, bringing up those people's names right about now.
I'm just, you know what I mean? You're right. Like, let's just. That's the first thing that struck me is I saw the energy in Venus towards the top 10. She knew it was possible, and she did every single thing within her power. And I believe I saw the WTA Insider tweet that she knew that Venus would be ready and prepared for Zhuhai because she was biking, or well, she was running every day when she was in Singapore as an alternate. You know, I mean, you can't teach that kind of thing. You can't teach that drive. You can't teach that sort of.
It's called having a positive work ethic.
You know, single-pointed focus and that willingness. Listen, John Isner was trying to get to the World Tour final. I mean, so many people were, and they all stumbled at the very end while things were in their complete control. So I have to say that for me is that's the Venus lesson is, wow, this is what it means when you really
hard
want
work pays
something.
off.
But more than hard work, right? But just the single-pointed focus.
And that's hard. But that's hard. That in itself is hard.
I'm gonna say that I have to take back. I hate her, but I hate judiciously, and I know haters coming, but I'm gonna say I have to take that because I think you ladies admonished me when I said I think Venus needs to sit home and chill her tired body.
Yes,
yeah, you
like,
did.
I said that,
you.
and then you said I believe Andrea, you said specifically, you said it's possible. I mean, if you look at how things go, she can get her life together, and and in fact, she did, and I mean, like. Excuse me, Venus is the new queen of China, no longer Yelena Yakovich. Because she just won Wuhan, she got to the semis of Beijing, and she won Zhuhai. Look.
Back off, JJ.
JJ, you be winning those ITF titles like it's somebody. Venus is winning real titles, okay? Real titles. The one that we see on TV, okay? The one that the WTA actually put on a hashtag for. Somebody is putting on a hashtag for Nancy. I'm just saying.
Leave it. Leave it. But you know what? And also, what a nice way for it to wrap up. She
I know.
Had round robin, but she didn't have to deal with round robin issues.
And the people in the finals didn't lose in round robin.
Nope.
I don't think they did. Somebody didn't lose a match, right?
No. I mean, there were some retirees.
Oh.
But everybody, yeah, right? Caroline Wozniacki retired. Andrea Petkovic had some issues.
I think Carol came in and she thought she was going to round up people up in here and Bojack title. Then she realized,
I don't know why, because she ain't been doing shit God knows how long.
I didn't even think she was going to show up. But, I was, think, Karen, the other Williams sister, you're a little bit silent on this Venus. Are you crying?
I'm basking in the wonders of Venus. Venus winning the WTA Elite Trophy. More so.
Can I just ask, what even is this tournament, though?
Girl,
what the hell is it?
Girl.
You know what? This is one time I'm not going to bash it because Venus won it. Okay.
Oh Lord! But you were going to bash it.
But you know what? If I'm going to be a really good commentator on this podcast, I have to be honest.
Yeah.
There was absolutely, I don't know what this is.
I don't even. I watched
Nobody
it all
does.
You have the year-end championships that focuses on
the top
eight best players of the season and two alternates or one alternate, whatever. So the 10 best players for the season. If the WTA plans to have a separate tournament, why not have it as a Rising Star tournament?
Well, they certainly couldn't put Venus in a Rising Star category.
The best of the Rising Star.
Listen, this is just bullshit. There's no nice way to put it. This tournament's stupid. It's great that Venus won it and it was fun, but calling it the Elite Eight, come on. Come on.
Or you have another option. You have another option because the Rising tournament happened in Singapore too. What you could do is you could reserve one spot and then have this tournament happen before because it's for anyone that falls out. It's from 10 to 20 something, right?
That's what I thought.
Why don't they just call it the B team?
Well, yeah, you could do the B team, and it's cool because there's some interesting B team, and you get another last run chance to get yourself to Singapore.
No.
Oh no 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 no! I don't think so. I think they should just do Zhuhai should happen before Singapore.
It needs to happen before.
But I said that's what I said. It happens before Singapore.
Oh
but,
no no.
Yeah.
No, I'm not in agreement with that.
Oh, but
it should not happen at all.
I don't want a situation where you have some player who has done basically nothing all season, catching lightning in a bottle and competing with the elite.
Oh please, that's what Panetta did. So what the heck? Panetta won one tournament.
Lightning in a bottle in New York.
Yeah, one tournament.
She won herself.
But she showed up in Singapore.
That's Panetta. That's the same.
And Aga caught lightning in a bottle.
The same thing.
In Asia.
But at least these women are known quantities.
But it doesn't matter.
Then they should have been in Singapore.
Having someone like not Muguruza, like Svitolina, who apart from her tournament title in Marrakesh or someplace like that, hasn't really been a factor much this season.
Neither has Aga. None of these points. I mean, that's the thing.
But that's the thing. None of these.
That's what I'm saying. If you're gonna have a year-end tournament that either follows the WTA championships or precedes the WTA championships, then it should be with the up-and-comers. Have that tournament first. I have it with the same people. Those persons who, it used to be that this tournament was for players who had won international level tournaments. That's what this tournament was first, as what was the brainchild around this particular tournament. And Caroline Wozniacki ended up going there all the time because she kept not Caroline Wozniacki. Anna Ivanovic kept going there because she kept getting wild cards to go to Bali to play. Because I guess they needed some star power, and Ivanovic wasn't doing much on the regular tour to qualify for the season-ending championships. So, as I digress, I think if the WTA wants to have a year-end tournament that is relevant and will capture the imagination of fans, then they should have it for the rising stars. They've been promoting the WTA Rising Star as a brand, as up-and-comers, young women who are coming into their own, who the stars of the future. Why not have Belinda Bencic, Svitolina, Pliskova, Zhang Zheng, players like those who, we've been hearing about and seeing all season long. Have those players compete. Those are Sloane Stephens, Madison Keys. Those are the players that we should have been seeing this week, competing against each other.
Actually,
Let us see what the future of the WTA Tour will look like once those 29 and over have retired.
But you know what, Karen? This is my point. I want to make a larger point. As I watch it, I see that future with these girls, and they don't do shit. Ain't no way these girls, Venus, I love you. Ain't no way you're supposed to be rolling up in Zhuhai and just snatching wigs like God knows what. Like they shouldn't be ashamed of themselves. That you beat these girls convincingly. There is no question that Venus was the best athlete at that tournament. As a matter of fact, you had put Venus in Singapore, she would have been snatching some wigs too.
Venus has what these young women don't have. Venus has experience. She's a seasoned competitor. She has nuances in her game that these young women can only dream of. And her training, and her training regimen. I mean, if you go into an organization and you are a newbie with only 2 or 3 years experience, the person who has been there for 10, 15 years, who probably doesn't even have a degree, but she's been there 15 years, so she knows everything about that organization.
I agree with that.
It's the same thing with the sport. Venus has been doing this since she was 3 years old. She's now 35. She's been competing as a professional athlete for what, 24 years, 25 years?
I agree and I disagree. I'll tell you why I agree. You're right. Venus definitely had experience because particularly in the late part of that match with Pliskova, it was experience. But I tell you something that I saw here with Venus. Venus had hunger. She wanted it. She was not going to lose any of these matches. And that's what I saw in Venus that I hadn't seen in 2-3 weeks of with WTA tennis. I haven't seen most of these girls. I just saw why I was just like, I don't feel like really doing that shit out there. You take it if you want it. And I'll tell you something else. 17-year-old Venus Williams, 21-year-old Venus Williams would not have been acting like these girls out here if she was in this position. Venus faced Steffi Graf, playing with these legends, and she wasn't going out like a punk. Although that generation that Venus came up with, they were fighting hard. What I see at the WTA now is a bunch of punks.
Well, let's talk about this a little bit because
that's my opinion on the matter.
I read a snippet of an interview from Flavia Pennetta that I think she gave to the WTA Insider or Christopher Clary, where she spoke about the hunger of these of the up-and-coming players and the sense of entitlement that she alluded to that sense of entitlement amongst the young players. It could be a case that it used to be that when Venus, Serena, Flavia Pennetta, Roberta Vinci, even Sara Errani, because Sara Errani is closer to 30 than she is to 25, these players knows what it is to compete. And it wasn't about making money. It was about competing with the best of the best. It was about putting out your best efforts and being rewarded for it, that sense of accomplishment. Nowadays, you have sponsors throwing money after players and giving them, all this razzmatazz and the WTA itself cashing in on the action by branding everyone a rising star. You can't be a rising star if you can't even win a tournament. You can't be a rising star if you can't even sell tickets to a tournament in the back of Beyond. It's you're not a rising star. You're just a regular player. And sponsors and brands and everybody is throwing money at these young women, so they're not really having to work for it. They're not earning it. They're really not earning it, and it saddens me because they're being rewarded for mediocrity because they're not really fighting and earning what it is.
Let me ask you something, Karen. When you say they're being rewarded for mediocrity and they're not really fighting for it, are you talking about money?
Yes, money. This is just a way for them to earn a living.
Well, you know what? Let's keep it real. If I could tour the world and play tennis for fun and not really do that great and make a shit ton of money, I'd do it too.
I get that, and I agree with you with that. I'm all
which is why.
But what I have a problem is that
45 years old can come in and players half her age, and then we wonder, and then we say to ourselves that these players don't have this and they don't have that.
But that's not really fair. No, that's not really fair because in some sense it almost knocks Venus down a peg.
No, it's not that. I mean, honestly, Venus is 35 years old. She has to manage herself more than she had to manage herself when she was 21. Okay, her body is not the same. I mean, she was playing really smart tennis. Last year, a couple of years ago, Venus would be languishing behind that baseline for nobody's business, God knows why. Venus realized she had to come forward. She would step forward. I mean, because
But this is no different than when we talk about Federer. Wait.
Right, go ahead.
This is what a great champion looks like. Don't make it less because the other people can't catch up. That's not fair.
But it's not about catching up. It's a matter that my opinion, that they're not stepping up. The problem,
that she shouldn't be where she is because the younger people should be stepping up, that my point is that may not necessarily be true. That's my point.
Yeah, it's not 100% because on one hand, I get Reals' point because Venus and her ilk were competing hard from the beginning.
We're competing hard from the beginning.
Yeah, but the point is, these are now proven champions, right?
Yes.
You're kind of backing into. But this is what I'm saying, Reals. These are champions. This is the problem the sport has with every side. These are proven champions, and we want to extrapolate the same level of drive, grit, and all this other stuff towards them. No, it's fair.
There's a reason why they are as great as they are.
Yes.
Right. No, let me just clarify this. I am not denying that Venus is a great champion. I would never, Venus is my queen.
No.
But I mean, like, but what I'm expecting, what I would expect from, I mean, like someone like Pliskova, an opportunity like this.
But when you have somebody as great as Venus, why is it such a huge opportunity? That's my point.
Exactly.
It's not.
Because Venus knows she knows the cost of this moment. Pliskova still has legs.
She's still learning.
She's still learning. Venus knows this is not necessary. You guys, you have to give credit to the fact that you have to give credit to what experience means. To recognize the moment. Venus recognizes the moment. She's not going to possibly be here. She even admitted that in her congratulations speech.
Right, she's
did. She's like, I may not even be back around here. Pliskova, much like a Sloane Stephens, and others have said, they're young. They believe they have time. That's different for a lot of them. I think a lot of them believe they have plenty of time. As soon as they get, we've started to see the difference on other guys on the tour now, at least on the side.
But I mean, my point was,
what is your larger point? You're questioning their whole internal drive.
Well, I think I should say for me, just like I'm
not backing down from that.
No, I'm not backing down.
I don't think you have to back down from it. But
I'm not backing down.
No, I'm not backing down.
I think it's just
Venus. She's 14, 15 years old, and that drive was always there.
I know, but that's what we're saying. We're saying it's unique.
She's special.
She's special. Right.
People need to stop trying
Venus out of it.
It's not leaving Venus out of it. They're special. Everyone keeps using the barometer of special people to evaluate everybody else. No, that naked drive was there. There were other people around during Venus' time.
I wasn't doing that, I was using the article the interview that Flavia did.
Yeah, the millennial.
Spoke about the sense of entitlement and the fact that players are not working as hard for what they have.
But you know what Flavia is recognizing? Flavia is recognizing both the good and the bad of being a successful tour.
Right.
This you know what, when the work it's just like you or I, like when we were younger, our parents had to work harder for the thing that we take for granted now. The baseline has just moved. The baseline has moved for these ladies. So yeah, think about how hard the early members of the original members of the WTA worked for their for that.
Right.
You know what I mean? And now these people come into the sport already at a level. And so the energy and what you're looking for and the effort, it's just it's so different for them. They get all the things that people were working hard to get from the beginning.
But I guess my problem with the whole, what I'm really getting at for me is that is annoying to me that two things. One, I am seeing the same set of people doing the same set of things. Not Venus winning, I mean. But in terms of this Pliskova is the same Pliskova that started in 2015. Yeah. This kind of behavior. I'm seeing it from most of these other girls. And what I'm not seeing is that I'm not seeing a shift in the momentum. And I really can't pick out anyone from this generation and the generation after Venus and the coming generation as to who's like, who's going to be the next megastar of this world? I really can't.
There might not be. There might not be a megastar. One of the things I think that people have been making the same case for the ATP. And I think what people need to realize is that we never had megastars. The megastars that we grew up with have made us look
spoiled
and hungry for that. But we never had megastars. Before the Venuses, we didn't have megastars in the same way. Or even like the Chrissies. I mean, Chrissy happened, and then there was a long stretch. And then so it's like we can't want the thing. I mean, these people, the tennis tour before TV and all the kind of stuff was just a regular tour with people doing their
I'm
thing.
sorry. I'm sorry. When I said megastar, I don't mean like a celebrity brand-ish, whatever.
But
I
no,
mean
I'm not talking about brand. I'm talking about champions.
Oh,
Yeah.
I'm talking. We had a tour with just regular, strong people competing day in and day out. That's what we had. I mean, I think even Safin was trying to make that point. Safin was making the point that that's the thing.
But I can't see anyone who can be consistent, I guess is my point.
But they're all. But this is not Pliskova. But this is not Pliskova's. This is Pliskova's breakout year, right? This was she had a good early year. Everybody has a breakout year. The consistency piece becomes what do they do to follow it up, right? Same thing happened with Muguruza. Everybody's in love with Muguruza. Everybody forgets that Muguruza went off the rails after her breakout year, and then now she's getting it back together. That seems to be the pattern. I think even Karen did her own article about this, trying to figure out whether Jeannie was in a slump or what. And I think what we've realized is that it's not that people go into slumps, but people do have to kind of, I don't know.
The level of inconsistency
that
permeates every person on the tour. Unless you're Novak Djokovic.
Yeah, I mean, generally, right? Everyone is pretty much inconsistent.
I mean, no, yes and no, but anyway, I don't want to.
It runs across the women's tour, pretty much with everybody. Yeah. Somebody has one or two. You don't really have anybody who has a whole section of the season where they run roughshod like how
everybody used to. Yeah.
Cards. That's Nadal. That used to be Nadal's forte.
Yeah,
courts come around. Is Djokovic actually going to lose a match? Or Andy Murray when he was Andy Murray. But on the women's side, that level of inconsistency has not been. I mean, the most consistent player we've had in a little while has been Serena Williams, and she has been consistent because she's been quite judicious with her scheduling. I mean, the next best person to that was Caroline Wozniak in her heyday, who would, she would always win at the tour level. But
as a ranker too.
She would play out. But you don't really have that level of consistency amongst the women. And which is good because it makes for interesting storylines. It makes for, you want to know, well, who will come next? What will come next? Which I think
we had that in Singapore and people got mad. So
which is what I think is the greatest selling point of the WTA is the fact that it's not set in stone who is going to win on any given day. You can have a breakout person at any given moment. Pliskova didn't just break out this year. She's been on the radar for quite some time.
She has, but it's about consistency issues. What I'm saying is I feel like consistency has become like a shortcut for evaluating someone's strength. And don't get me wrong, I love consistency, but actually consistency is actually new. Both tours were, for a good while, it used to be a rollicking ride when the surfaces were different, and some people thrived, and then
years.
Yeah, and then they disappear. And you're like, and now, remember that used to be it. I think everybody
used to be, and like I thought,
you're like, who's this person coming up now? I think
Felix Mantia in the final.
What's going on? But once they made all the surfaces the same, people started to say, well, then you need to be getting to the finals every single week.
And you can because you just know what.
And supposedly you could because the surfaces are so similar. You don't have to adapt your game that much. But I think in a weird way, I feel like now
the problem now becomes
like
the ball.
A weapon.
It's a ball weapon. In this area is not the favorite balls in that area. Okay,
oh God!
But anyway, ladies, let us move on. Before we,
could we just so what do you all say? You WTAers, you don't want Zhuhai to exist, or if it does, you want it to.
I just want it to have a different name.
Okay.
It's fine that it's there, but don't call it the Elite 8 because it's not.
And people, and I just gotta say, you can't be telling people hope to see you back here next year because they failed. This is the retake exam class. Okay?
Okay,
This is the
all right.
people, so you
So
can't comment.
the hope is that you actually don't make it back to Zhuhai. You make it back
Exactly.
to
You
Singapore.
make it to Singapore. Exactly. That you don't show up in Zhuhai, you show up in Singapore. Okay? That's all I'm
So,
saying. That's the goal.
congratulations, Venus. You did your thing. We're happy you're back in the
Girl,
top 10.
my neighbors, I screamed out so loud this morning. I
I
have
will
never
say
screamed more.
the atmosphere in Zhuhai was good though. I
Oh
think in
yeah, the
many ways
people
Yeah,
it was
the
I
actually
didn't
energy.
see
maybe
one
crowds were
match.
better.
really engaged.
Yeah, the crowds were, and it was actually crowded. You know, and
Yeah.
like the final
Right.
was a nice, healthy final. So
Good.
whatever is
I
happening
mean,
there.
The Venus
WTA,
effect. It's the Williams sisters
I
effect.
just gotta say, I pride myself in knowing tons of people on both the ATP and the WTA, but I had a problem when y'all had doubles. I didn't know anybody. I just
Well, yeah, the doubles team
okay.
is the
I
unusual.
was like, who's she? Not even who's she. Who have they? Four people on the court. I don't know anybody.
Yeah, the doubles teams are a little bit unusual. I don't know who they are. Half of them were.
Y'all should have had Hops, Jones, and Spears come back and do something. Because I mean, they were dying for a match. I mean, WWE fixed that.
Okay,
Okay.
so what were the other news around the WTA?
Well, Simona has confirmed that she will be working in Darren Cahill, and everyone seems, in the pundits seems to want to think this is glorious news. But for me,
As
this is
usual.
Does this mean that? Does this
call me
mean
biased
that?
because you don't matter how boss anymore. But
Does this mean that Darren is no longer a part of the Adidas team?
Oh, he's
Oh,
been
he
gone from
announced
that.
that. He announced it at the end of the summer. That's over.
Oh,
Yeah, that's over.
I
Yeah,
guess
I
I
think I
missed
think I
that.
think the entire program is
Yeah,
done.
the whole so he was job
Oh,
searching.
they dissolved the whole program.
Yeah,
Oh
yeah. I
gosh,
think if I'm not mistaken.
totally late to that party.
Of course, they wouldn't say that out loud, but yes, it did dissolve.
Well, you know what? You would be late to that party because you were probably in Cincy when the announcement happened.
Oh, okay. At least
Yeah.
I was busy.
So, Karen, you are the resident Simona fan. What do you think of this coaching?
Oh,
Uh-oh.
I don't care. I don't care who Simona gets on her team. I
Uh-huh.
don't know. I don't care which coach she gets. I don't know if she gets. I don't care if she gets the Dalai Lama himself.
Uh-huh.
It all begins with the player. You step on that court, you have to have some amount of belief. You have to, because that's 90% of the sport. It's the mentality. We know she has the physical wherewithal. We know that. We know that she has the speed, the power, all that. She has a kill shot, her backhand down the line.
Mm-hmm.
She's working on her serve. But mentally, that girl is a mess. She just
Yeah, I feel so too.
and unless he's going to hire a sports psychologist, I don't see where, any coach.
They could have me come and
Doesn't
coach
matter
and it would have the
what it is.
same result. I'm just saying.
She has to step on that court. And if she has doubts about competing against, bigger girls, if she has doubts about her serve, whatever doubts she has, and I mean, every athlete has it. I read an article the other day, and it said one of the reasons why Serena's coach is the last person to get to the box is that he walks her right to when she goes on court, and he's speaking to her up to that point. And
Is that true?
As great an athlete as Serena Williams is, she needs that positive reinforcement before she steps on the court every single time. She said it. She said that she only consults with Patrick at least 30 minutes before she steps on the court, where he gives her tips on her next opponent and tactics, and they talk strategy. Not long, hours before, but at least 30 minutes before she goes on court. And Darren, in Cincinnati earlier this year, I think it was, Darren was coaching someone else. And so Simona never got a chance to speak with him. And she had to take the court. And she won the match. And she said in the ESPN booth afterwards that she had to figure it out. And that's what she needs to do every single time. She has become reliant on a coach coming down. She had put that away for a while. and now she's becoming reliant on somebody coming down and speaking with her. If Darren wants to help her, he needs to adopt the same attitude that Patrick has adopted with Serena.
No.
Every athlete needs that positive reinforcement. And if it means speaking to her before she steps on the court, reinforcing that positivity that they worked on in practice, that they spoke about while watching videos or whatever it is that athletes and coaches do, then that's what he needs to do. But at the end of the day, if Simona doesn't step on that tennis court, believing that she can beat the Lucic Maronis of this world, then she's going to continue to lose and she's going to drop out of the top 10 and go back to obscurity. And we will be asking the question, man, who is the greatest player never to have won a slam?
Elena Dementia. I'm just gonna say for me, I mean, I agree, and actually no, I disagree with you. Simona need a talk, man.
Because you just want to be contrary.
No, not because I want to be contrary. Because you know what? I would have been this way. I was saying this would have been work for Simona at the beginning of the year. I would have been here with you if we were talking about the beginning of the year. But you know what? Simona is telling lies, and Simona isn't facing the truth of the real matter. First of all, you got rid of Wimser. You got rid of Wimser at end of last year, saying, you know, I want the best season you had. Wait. You got rid of Wimser set, so you want to work with a Romanian because there are certain things that can only be communicated in Romanian. Whatever, girl. You got a Romanian coach. You got rid of him. Then you went to an Australian. All right, you got Darren Cahill consulting, whatever the case to be. I got to talk with the coach, the team, whatever. I saw you at the US Open. And then when your moment to shine, it wasn't Serena in your way. It wasn't Maria Sharapova. It wasn't even an unformed Kvitova. You had Flavia fucking Pineda. And this was your big moment to get to another major final. And you fucked it up. You just dropped the ball. Did he show up in Singapore? Then he did the same shit again.
Serena dropped the ball as well.
So what's the point?
My point is that
what did Halep do wrong? What lie did she tell?
No, Halep isn't being truthful of what's really going on. This is not a coaching issue. You're right. It's about the mentality thing, but I think it's more than. I don't think she needs a coach reinforcement to tell her what to do. Halep knows what she needs to do. I don't think Halep wants to succeed.
Wait, Karen. Wait, what is it? What do you want? What does she need?
I don't think she wants to succeed. I just see a person out there who just when the moment comes for her to take it, she just refused to take it and almost.
No.
That's just my opinion. I just see because the same thing showed up in Singapore. She had an opportunity to do something and she just flat out just lose badly all the time. And I mean, and Darren Cahill came down on court and he spoke to her. He told her what she needed to do, and that didn't work. She needs a taskmaster, someone who's gonna be on her ass and be like, look, you come on here with any stupid results. We're not having this conversation. Maybe she needs a Richard Williams to just go like, oh, you're playing shit on this court right now. I can't even look at you. I'm going out of the stadium.
She can't. She couldn't survive with that because even when she's playing well, this is what's interesting to me about Simona. And I mean, I don't know the coaching thing. I think one of the things I think that's surprising to me is more people are excited for Cahill than they are for Simona.
Exactly.
That's what tennis fans are. They're
really excited for him. They love him. They love him, and so they think he'd work with anybody. So that's just great for him to have a coaching job. Whether he's a good fit for Simona, it's another thing entirely. But I do think it is interesting, though, that Darren Cahill had to coach Simona through patches in matches when she was playing well. She was playing well, and she was unaware that she was playing well. That's what was surprising. So then when he came down, his coaching was on par with the kind of coaching that he was doing with Sorana Cristea. Remember when he had to like sort of stroke her, and like it was a level of strokage that I was surprised by, because I thought, wait a minute, you're playing well. If you can't make that connection, that was noteworthy to me. So I'm very curious to see what Darren Cahill is really going to, because I actually find that Simona to me has become more fragile under his tutelage than when she was without it. Now, you know, when you have a super coach, and especially when a young woman gets a super coach and is told that person's a super coach, always, do you know what I mean? There's always that sense.
It's the legend of Darren Cahill.
Yeah, the legend of Darren Cahill is really the most but I'm
with my hair back and forth. I'm telling you.
Wait, I'm just gonna reserve judgment.
Y'all wanna use fancy words around the system around here. Simona is telling lies. She's not being truthful about the situation.
Okay, well, that's fine, but I'm just saying that I have a feeling that
she's in love with we're in love with the legend of Darren Cahill, super cool.
Yes,
that's what she's very in love with. We are. It's like Ben Gronville.
Yes, so I'm hoping.
You know, it's the legend and the myth of these super coaches and what they bring to the table. Really?
Yes.
About these super coaches and what they have accomplished.
We don't have the time for that, but I just want to put this final point out here. And I'm going to use your point that you made, Karen, ages ago. You talked about Simona's rise and how Simona was doing this. Win for set was gradually building Simona up. Gradually stroking her in the way she needed to stroke her. Don't throw out to the wall.
Oh my God, seriously?
And then she dropped him. So I'm just saying.
Maybe she dropped him because he wasn't bringing anything. I don't see where win percent was actually doing anything for Simona. Come on.
No.
But you know what? The jury's still out.
Okay, so we'll see. We'll see what's gonna happen with Cahill.
I think Blue Chick Baroni extended.
Wait. Let me finish this point. I know. This is like a big thing, I guess. So the jury's out on this pairing. Is that what we're saying?
Yes.
Is that what you all saying? Okay.
Hey, I've said nothing.
But I know you're about to say something now because we're gonna move to the next place, which I think is really fascinating. Letters written to us directly from the players telling us what's going on in their life.
I don't know what I don't know what Victoria Azarenka was thinking. I read that
Wait, Karen, we gotta set it up.
Give the context, Karen. Tell us what happened.
I know. You know what? I know. Somebody has to take this one because I really don't know what the context is.
Okay, so at this moment we were very excited. We were not excited, but it was intriguing that Victoria Azarenka published through the WTA Insider basically a letter to her fans to let us know about her year. It was almost in some sense a defense of her year, but according to her, it was Victoria Azarenka, an honest assessment of my 2015 season.
Yeah.
And I printed it out because I felt like I was going to be making charts and, crossing things up. So I really wanted it in my hand. And my initial impression was I read it and I was like, here's the honest assessment. And why was this letter written? It said summary of her season. Not an analysis of her season, but just a summary of her season. What did you? I kept waiting for the insights. I kept waiting for the analysis, and I kept waiting for me feeling like I had left the letter wiser and more.
I'll tell you what you learned from that letter. I'll tell you what you learned from that letter. You learned that she called Serena and said, "Can I have Sasha?" And Serena said, "Girl, you can have him. It's okay." That's what you learned. You may not have known it for a fact, but she confirmed it. So when all those Serena haters, those Serena stands, that was trying to drag Victoria Azarenka about the situation, Serena blessed that situation. But Serena, a little shame on you for not setting your crazy fans on score. But
I've been a Vika fan since
forever.
Since forever, for a long time.
So
before Twitter, yeah.
Yeah.
I was a Vika fan. I like her feistiness. I like that hard edge that she has to her. I liked her.
And that girl played in Melbourne Heat trying to
liked
beat
her. IDGAF. Yeah, IDGAF.
Yeah.
Look it up, people. It means something.
It's I don't give a fuck, because we've got to translate for the Christian now.
Yeah. So
I don't give a fuck.
Oh, I forgot that.
Yeah. So there we go.
I like that about her. I like that she competed. More than anything else, I love that she competed. Win or lose, she gave her all. She was feisty. She walked with this jock walk. Yeah. You know, I love that about Vika, you know. And she would lose, but she would go down fighting, fist in the air, just battling. For whatever reason, her management team, her prior management team, and probably the way WTA thought, oh, you're number one in the world now. You have won a Grand Slam. You know, you've beaten up Serena. You've beaten Sharapova. We should put you on a charm offensive. And so they've remade this young lady and turned her into I don't know what. And so she goes off, she's injured, you know, and she comes back, change coach, change this, change that, and she's become, I don't know what she has become.
In all fairness, she didn't change coach. Coach changed her.
You know,
she made that quite clear.
However that went. But the bottom line is that Vika is no more. She's now Victoria. No Victoria. That's what she is. She's Victoria. She's no longer Vika with an edge. She is softer. She's more mellow. That fight that she used to have, she doesn't have it anymore. She's not as fit as she used to, because we're gonna speak. This is Vika uncut.
Yeah.
She's not as fit as she used to be. She looks like she's put on a whole bunch of bulk and muscle, which is not what Vika's game was all about. Probably Victoria's game is all about that now. But Vika's game wasn't about being bulky and having thick thighs and a thick torso and a face that looks like, you know, she's a sumo wrestler now. Her feet don't move when she's playing anymore. That swiftness that you used to see. I used to watch tennis just to look at Victoria. I wrote a blog post about Victoria Azarenka's feet when they moved, when she's playing, and when she's playing well. And I didn't see that in 2015. I saw a player struggling.
Well, actually, the article
almost
said
20 double faults in a match. Her serve, and contrary to what you think, Victoria, your serve was never a weapon. What it was that it had placement and you defended it well.
Wow.
But your serve never a weapon.
No, she was a Nadal-esque in that sense. Remember?
Yes.
This was what she started the point. And then she knew that she
her movement and her, you know, ability to anticipate the way how she took the ball early, the fact that she could read
the direction.
You know, that was Victoria's, that was Vika's strength. Clearly, Victoria decided, I need muscle and a big serve.
But she also mentioned something I thought was rather interesting that we mentioned earlier in the year. She talked about where we can, you know, she just thought she was just gonna roll up on these events and just gonna catch weights. And people were like, no, you don't do that here. We've been out there slaving. You gotta wait your turn. There's a pecking order out here, girl. And she didn't realize that. And she didn't realize that the players would see that she's slower, she's bigger, and they could sense at least the opportunity to beat, you know, this lower tier girl at this point now. She's in the lower tier. And she didn't mention this, which I wish the letter had said. She didn't say she should have vouched her. You should have gone somewhere to get your confidence and your shit together, which you realized you didn't have, and you did nothing about it. You did absolutely nothing about it. You were out there struggling to win these matches, and you just decided, okay, I'm struggling. All right, I'm gonna go home. I'm struggling. That's it.
And despite her year, you know, Vika got to the final of a tournament. She did. She got to the final of a tournament. She lost to Shafazova, to lose. Yeah, she's saying that. And so she, you know, so it's not as if her year was a total bust. But for the caliber of player that she is, I was expecting that her season would have ended a little bit better than it did.
She barely moved in the rankings. She didn't move in the rankings.
I think she said that. She said that. But,
she talked about being injured all year and playing through the pain and not being able to just walk away for a little while and say, I need to heal. I'm going to push through it. I'm not even going to acknowledge that I'm hurt. I don't know, blah, blah, blah. That piece, the only thing that I got out of it was that she actually wrote it. It sounded like her. It was messy. It was all over the place. It had grammatical errors. And I'm like, why?
Valuable element of, yeah.
I was like, well, I mean, really, the only thing that I walked away from with it was I think she actually wrote that, and I don't, but there were honestly a couple parts where I think she might have gotten some help because the tone just changed, and I was like, did somebody say it would sound better if you said it this way? Because that doesn't sound like her, and it doesn't fit in the rest of this so-called letter.
Well, it was edited, bro. I mean, I would expect the letter to be edited, no?
But I don't feel like the whole thing was edited. That's my problem with it. I feel like bits and pieces. I don't know. It was just I wanted it to be more.
It was all over the place.
I wish it was television interview. To be quite honest with you, I just don't want to read it.
It probably would have went over much better if it were a television interview. And you could maybe see facial expressions or hear a tone or whatever. I got to the end and I was like, huh?
BK, it would have been so much better if you come on this podcast. I'm just saying, girl. We would have packaged you really nice and neatly and have you tell us the story, clarify those unanswered questions that you didn't want to touch, and we would have laughed and kiki, and we could go out and spend your money after. I'm just saying.
Well, I mean, clearly there was, clearly, for me, realistically, the only value to the letter is the section where she said, I wanted to write this letter to myself. I don't know what that's about. So nobody can twist and turn it around. So it seems to me that Vika feels as if, at some level, there's a real disconnect between what's going on with her and what the fans understand and what interviewers understand and all of that jazz. And so for that, I appreciate the effort.
But I don't feel clarify anything.
But she didn't clarify anything, and she didn't provide any sort of an assessment. So, I mean, it was a nice effort, but I didn't leave the letter any wiser about what was going on.
Thank you very much.
Except just with an awareness that she was in pain. Honest to goodness, I mean, that was really what it was. That was the first time I was, okay, so you were actually playing the entire year with pain. That's what was going on for you. Okay, I get that. That makes sense to me.
It could have been much shorter if she would have just.
Yeah, I was playing the whole year in pain.
I was playing with pain. I asked Serena, could I have Sasha?
Yeah,
one paragraph, girl. I would have hooked you up so good. See?
But I mean, where do you think? Do you think this is sort of like? I mean, I think it was an interesting initiative. Do you think we'll be seeing other people write letters like this?
Well, you know what? If they come out like that, I hope not.
No.
God.
Oh wait, you guys feel about this letter the way you guys feel about mid-match announcers coming down and asking questions, right?
Yeah, bad idea.
That stuff.
Because listen, these people are athletes. They're not writers. Come on.
Well,
I didn't need it. I wasn't confused about Vika.
I think that they're well spoken insofar as they can clearly express themselves, freely. You know what I mean? If you ask her something, and clearly this sort of I guess I don't know confessional. I guess like we've gone into the booth of a reality TV show. It needed to be prompted in some way. You needed questions. We needed to see why, because it was.
If you're gonna confess, I need more confession than this. But that's
exactly.
Fine.
I need more confession. I need more clarification. And again, I'm thinking of telling me that.
It was.
And you know what, girl? We didn't care. All we want you to do is get your shit together and come back in 2006.
Okay, and that's fine. But maybe you're not going to, because she is in pain. She's now an athlete that is playing with pain. And we know athletes who play with pain don't play comfortably or don't play uninhibited tennis. And so this is probably the universe that Vika's going to be living in for a while.
I thought
listen, only Rafa knows how to play in pain.
Stop it. The far more interesting tell-all came from Andrea Petkovic.
Oh yes, her. She had one as well.
But she didn't write a letter. She had a
But that was good. That was insightful.
It was an interview.
Well, take note, people.
Yeah,
take note.
Tell-all.
How you do it.
We're gonna call it the tell-all section.
Yeah, it was a well-led
But you know,
letter.
that was good. You walked away from that going,
new stuff.
Is she gonna retire? Does she want to
know
play
what?
tennis? Does she need some Prozac in her life?
Go ahead, Janina. Real, let Janina speak.
Yeah, go ahead.
He's out of control tonight, isn't he?
Yeah, Real is like, Real is hopped on WTA.
On ATP. Just wait till I get to ATP. Oh my god. I watch too much tennis.
But we haven't heard Janina. This is Janina's moment. So go. She's one of your girls.
Back
right?
off. I know. Like she sounds broken. She's broken. Her spirit is broken.
She's broken.
And I'm not convinced that that when she mends, that she's going to be a tennis player.
Well, it was interesting because that is actually asking. When you get to a point in your life where you're saying the thing that you're spending your days doing relevant or meaningful enough, because that's really the question she was asking. Is like, I want to contribute more. I want to do different things, and I have so much talent in that, and I'm so injury prone right now. I'm not enjoying my tennis, and the world is a big place, and I want to do more.
Yeah,
that's like a question. That's like, oh, the door's opening. Your consciousness is being raised.
How interesting she said. She also said to the fact that well, before I preface that, I say I can imagine how to be, because when you get double bigger by Carlos Navarro, you really have to take stock of your life. But I mean, nonetheless, the result was I think that, because she said in the interview, she said, I am so happy that the results didn't come, that I didn't get big results, because maybe then I would have been thinking that I could still go on. But she said, I thought was really interesting with that. She said, you get to a point where what everyone is telling you you're good at, and you don't even think you're that good at it. You think you could be good at something else. That it was almost like she was being forced to play tennis at this point. Or she feels that it's a put upon her. That tennis had become something that was put upon her that she no longer wanted to deal with. She wanted to.
I didn't think that at all.
It wasn't that part. It was just more like she's changing.
Yes,
she's having a natural evolution.
He's having a life epiphany. Do I still want to be a tennis player? That's what she said. Yep. You take everything that she said, you ball it up and package it nicely, and all you walk away from is, do I still want to be a tennis player? I'm not sure. That's exactly what she said.
Exactly.
And you know what? Good for you, girl, for talking about it publicly and recognizing it. Because,
and also recognizing that there was also another element to her thing that I think is really smart, which is the monotony of the tour, the boringness of the tour, the dullness of the tour, and the insular nature of the tour, right?
You know what I mean? It's like Andrea.
Well, she was saying, we're talking about the same topics, it's the same thing, we're talking about competition. You know what I mean? Suddenly, because this is the question we've always had about people on tour, is if tennis players travel so much and they see so much of the world, why do they end up with such weird, narrow-minded ideas?
Well, but let's think about something for a moment, because she's very open, and she always has been, about her likes outside of tennis. And we know that she's a huge reader. And she's not reading, beach reads.
And a little bit racist.
Well, no.
Stop it.
A little bit prejudiced like most people.
But she's reading like deep thinker books. She likes that stuff. So that lets you know that this is an intelligent woman.
Who's not being fulfilled anymore by it.
Yes, and she wants more. So we already know that she's intelligent, and she thinks, and we know that she has interests outside of tennis. She wants her mind to be stimulated. That's obvious, and it's just not happening for her.
I loved her interview. I thought it was great. I thought that was great, and I connected to
that
it
was
as
honestly,
one human being to another, because you know what, it was anything beyond. It was everything anyone who would experience who feels like they need to transition.
And you know what?
That's great.
Vika obviously didn't read it, or maybe she read it and thought she could do better. It didn't work.
No, stop. It's not a competition. Oh my god.
That's how you do honesty, okay, girl? That's how you do honesty. But ladies, before we, I just want to say, we got an advanced copy of, Sharapova's new autobiography. I don't know if you want to save it till the end. We can talk about the
No. I mean,
We're talking about writing. Let's talk about it.
Let's go to writer's life.
Let me tell you. No, you don't get to go first. Back off.
I was just going to set it up.
Listen,
but go ahead.
I heard the chatter. And I didn't really pay it much attention.
A preview of the book.
Yeah, totally. So I read the advanced copy, the notes, the outline, blah, 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 that we received. Yeah, wink, wink. But here's where I'm at. This is the problem that I have.
Which chapter are you in?
The outline,
I appreciate people wanting to let us know their life, the inside story. But I would appreciate it more if you waited until your career was over.
Yep.
I don't like this. I don't like it at all. I've not read Rafa's book. I have it, but I haven't bothered to read it. I will read it. But I've felt the same way when he put his book out. Like, why are you putting a book out now? You're in the midst of your career. Granted, I think Maria may be more on the end of her career than Rafa is. Maybe not, given the latest results, but whatever. Or, just the timing of when his book came out. Let me put it that way. But I don't want to read a book while you're in the middle. I want to read a book.
Venus the same way as well, too?
I didn't read Venus's book.
Venus didn't read that autobiography.
No, I read Serena's book. It's the same problem. Do not write your book when you're in the midst of still selling your brand. What truths are you going to reveal to me?
Nothing.
While you're still selling your brand.
You're not going to be like Andrea Agassi and tell us that you were fucking a meth head or whatever. You're still playing. Tell me what was going on when you're done. Because I feel like you can't be 100% honest. You are not going to tell me the truth about you and Serena if there even is a story there, if you know you got to see her week in and week out. You're not going to do it. Talk to me when it's done. 5 to 10 years after you've put down the racket, that's when I want to hear your tale. Yes.
Because the tour will have moved on, and now the stories that you're going to tell, it's not that they won't be consequential. They still will be, because we're going to remember them. We care. But they won't resonate in the same way. What are you going to tell me now, Maria? 2017. What will you tell me about people?
Not a damn thing.
I just don't believe it.
No,
I don't want to hear about her life at the Bolletary Academy when she was 5. I don't care.
That chapter that was like 2 chapters.
I skipped right to the Serena Maria rivalry chapter.
Which fast forwarded to the Wimbledon 04 final. That took 3 chapters. The championships took another 3 chapters, and then there was just nothing after.
Well, I'm actually
in the end notes, there were the 17 other losses to Serena.
No, it's really.
From what we know of Sharapova and her life,
it's gonna be branding.
Let's be honest. Let's try and figure out exactly what could possibly be in this book that we would like to read. Andrea, you go, because she's your number 1.
What would I think Sharapova does a really good job of guarding her family life. So we actually don't know much about Sharapova's family life at all.
Her mother? Does she have siblings?
Yeah, we don't know any of that. So actually, I feel like
where is Daddy? Where is Yuri?
Yeah, that's actually That's actually information for me. If you're going, okay, you know what? Let me say. The way to make this intriguing for me at this moment in your career, because I've just made a statement about what I don't like, is you're going to have to tell me your personal side. Avoid tennis then. Skip the tennis. Deal with the personal. Deal with the men you've dated, why the relationships failed, why they succeeded, the
And
people
I
you're
can't wait
friends
for you to
with.
tell me Gregor.
Yeah. Why you
Did I
took
say
a
that out
particular
loud?
why you
Okay.
took a particular stand? Why you took a particular stand in the way that you decided to handle your career on the tour? Why do you not believe in friendships? Why is this approach helpful for you? Like, if you want to sort of explain yourself and that life choice on some level and the way you approach things, I'm okay with that. And you can stop. You know how some people do that? They do part one, take you up to the Wimbledon final,
Yeah.
where you beat Serena. Take me all the way there, maybe, if you want to, because I don't really know her young, those stories. That tale doesn't really get told that much.
I don't want to hear nothing else, right? Not now.
But I don't want to hear about your matches. I don't want to hear about any of that kind of stuff because I just don't think you're going to expose that. Why would an athlete expose herself internally in that way while she's still competing?
And talk about your game. Talk about what
No.
you talk about positive about the game and the negative on the weekend. No,
So,
I listen to you.
wrap it up. I mean, not wrap it up. I mean, hold it up, Maria. Just hold up the whole thing. Don't do it yet. Don't do it yet. You can start working on it now. You can work on it for years, but don't put it out yet. It's not time.
For years, actually, because this is the first time she's actually said definitively that she's writing. But she has mentioned previously that she was
working on something.
And I quote unquote, she thinks she's a racket.
Well, you know what? I will say though,
if she wants piece about that, she speaks about, I was putting things down on paper, and I felt, someone took a look at it. Someone took a look at it and said, you know what, this can be a book.
Honey,
why not put it out there?
Who doesn't? But you know what though? If in fact, like Janina says, that Sharapova is planning on retiring possibly sooner rather than later, then I think go out with a bang then. Retire and then spill all the beans. 2017, you're like, I'm done. This is my last year on tour. Mm-hmm. Boom, here's my book. Here's
Serena called me a bitch in the locker room. Way later in Melbourne, but you just like, bitch, take that. In 2005. And in 2007, after she dragged my ass at Melbourne, she called me a dirty C-word. And then she was giving me dirty looks at Wimbledon final Olympic. And she was like, bitch, you're only going to get a breadstick out here. Breadstick.
No, I'll just let you know. I haven't read Rafa's. I've read Andre's. I read Pete's, and I read Serena's book. Serena's book is a waste of time. However, there are interesting moments in it when she talks about her family and dealing with the grieving and that part. But the tennis stuff is the least interesting part of that book, which is hilarious.
It's funny because I took a the reason why I issue these, I avoid these things because one, honest to God, I mean, most tennis players do not come across to me as being, eloquent.
Don't be a snob.
I don't mean it that way. I don't mean it from not being able to write, but in terms of when I've seen them in interviews, they're very guarded. So typically the books that are selling well in tennis world are usually the books that come out when they have already retired and long removed from the sport. Jimmy Connors, Everett, Navratilova, August Agassi, Sampras, etc. They do well when they're far removed from the sport, like you pointed out. But I've read tons of other biographies and autobiographies in other different fields of entertainment, etc. And just like literature, and I find that they're very dull because, as you pointed out, they're never really honest. They're still trying to hold on to a kind of brand, a sort of a mystique. They never talked about the past, like when there's frailty, the kind of honesty that can help you understand these players. And in fact, I remember I read one biography of a singer, and I felt like I was reading a discography because every performance she's talking about is one I can go and buy the CD for, or I can know it exists somewhere. And not about the performance where she got a bad review, which I would have found most interesting. Like, how do you deal with a bad review? How do you deal with your voice? You know what I mean? She never dealt with those kind of things. And I find it just like, God, I just wasted my money, and I felt like I'm no closer to you than if I were than I was before, and I really, to me, it's like
so consensus is wait for the biographies.
Wait, Maria, you have enough money already. You don't need to be. You don't need the book for the money.
So let's talk about Paris.
All right, do we have to?
Mm-hmm.
Harry.
We do.
I'm losing the will to live here.
I I mean, I'll preface it by saying I didn't watch much. I didn't watch
I
much
didn't
at
watch
all.
it at all.
I
did.
watched. I wanted
watched
to watch.
too much.
I didn't have the opportunity to watch, and anybody that knows me knows I cannot. I've tried it a million times. I just can't watch it on delay or replay, whatever you want to call it. If I know the outcome, it just doesn't hold my attention, and I'm like, whatever. Like, I can't do it. So I basically didn't watch until today.
We need to. Okay, done.
I saw a little bit yesterday, I think. I don't know, but it was. I don't know. Do you want to talk about earlier in the week, or can we just talk about the Serbian
I just
Devil?
want to say we need to talk
We just
about
want to talk about
the
Djokovic.
intervention.
What were you gonna say, Real? What did you say?
Can I remember you're with the Lord right now, okay? And I'm for the devil, okay? Let's keep it. I just want to say that we should stage an intervention possibly for Andre.
For what?
Because your Kei Nishikori bus is breaking down again.
No, I didn't expect much from Kei because Kei was already qualified. Kei qualified for the match for the World Tour Finals before he even showed up.
Saving his body for that.
To be honest, I don't even understand. Listen, I don't understand why Fed showed up in Paris. I mean, they all show up out of obligation, but aside from Djokovic, who clearly is on a roll to solidify his championship in some weird way or legacy in some weird way. Not weird, but in a way. And then also Andy, who seems to have decided that he needed more match play on a slow, hard indoor court. Those really were the ones.
And he has two big tournaments coming up, and he's talking about
Yeah, but no, I was thinking that Andy would lose early and then run off so he can go practice on clay longer. But he seemed to be of the mind that he wanted to continue to play more.
Hold on, Andreen. Wait, you just said something. Is he skipping London?
No, he's not skipping, but the week between his plan, just like Fed, is to go to the clay. And one of the interesting things that Andy says is that when he goes to clay, his back sometimes acts up. So the question of London is still, I mean, I don't think it's, he says he's going to go, but the question is what happens when he goes on clay and practices for a week? How does his body feel after that?
Actually, if I'm not mistaken, he's going to play on clay this week.
That's what I said. He's going to do the whole week. Yeah, that's what Fed and Stan did. They practice on clay before. During the break before the fall, and then they practice this week.
Speaking of Stan, I did see Stan and Rafa. I did see that match that happened, right? Stan and Rafa.
Yeah, Stan and Rafa.
Stan just kind of manhandled him.
Basically. But you know what? It wasn't even manhandle. Rafa was lead. Rafa led in each set.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Rafa served for the first set, got broken, and then in the
tiebreak.
In the tiebreak, he also had he was in a winning position.
Because
it was just like mentally frayed.
And then he broke down.
Yeah.
I think that was great prep for Rafa for London. No, I'm kidding. I did see that. Didn't Stan and Novak play? Did they play? Did I see some of that?
Oh, yeah, that didn't happen.
And then Novak just kind of
had some take the second set. I know they were just like
he played, and I was like, okay, this is what we wanted. This is what we wanted. This is what we know. Mm-hmm. You know, a Nole Stan match can produce good tennis. We know that can happen. And then what happened in that third set?
In the third set was Nole. You know what? Because what happened is Stan was exhausted from the night before, and everybody's like, oh my God, this Nole bageled Stan. There was Stan in the second set was not Stan in the third set. It was like he had no legs. No, he had no legs.
Let me tell you something.
His legs was already going at the end of the second set.
Let me tell you something. He and Rafa played 2.5 hours.
Until 1:30 in the morning.
Oh, it went late? Okay.
Plus, and he had to go play with Donna, too. So,
well, you know what? When I was watching, I don't remember if it was Stan and Rafa or Stan and Nole, but I felt like Stan looked worse and I'm not talking about his tennis, I'm talking about strictly his appearance, he looked like shit. I just felt like he didn't look right. Like something was off.
Stan looked like he was,
Young girls do to you, girl.
he was exhausted. I would assume he was because by the time
He beat the fuck up.
Well, think about it. First of all, it always does take a lot of effort and energy to beat.
They got on cold late anyway.
Regardless. Yeah. So he finished by 1:30. By the time he settled down, did what he was going to do, he was probably in bed by 4. Then he had to turn around and come for a match at 5. There was no way. And so basically, once he lost the first set, that was the problem.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like once he lost the first set,
oh, shit, if I'm gonna win this, I gotta go 3.
And it's gotta go 3, and I'm just gonna. And then, but his pride, I think, made him go for. And he started hitting out from his shots in the second set. He was like, "Fuck this shit. Let me just hit you off the court." And it worked.
Yeah, and it was good stuff. It absolutely worked. Novak was frazzled. I was worried for the ball kids. I mean,
he did that to me. He did that to me. And I mean, like,
it was interesting.
And clearly it wasn't at the ball kid, but it just didn't look right. There was no reason for it. And I mean, people are gonna say Murray does the same thing. Murray mumbles and curses to himself.
Yeah, or his box. He's just got Tourette's or something. It's fine.
He's screaming out, and he's talking to the ball kid to bring their towel. So he's looking at it. It just don't look right.
He won 6. Well, he won 6. It's the guy that's won the most Masters in a season.
I mean,
ever.
Can we just do like a really quick discussion of the final? Because it was quick in general. Yeah. But I was watching that and I thought, my God, this is Andy Murray. He's no fucking slouch. And he looks like a junior playing against Novak.
I don't know why Andy Murray. First of all, Andy Murray has a WTA second, so that shit ain't gonna get that. He's not gonna
I don't care. There was nothing he could do. I don't care about a serve. Nothing. Novak made him. He made him look so stupid. I was like, this match should technically, ranking-wise speaking, should be of such a higher caliber. And again, we've talked about this a million times, and people have given us shit about it a million times. But fuck everybody. The truth of the matter is, the only person on tour right now that truly, consistently troubles Novak is Federer. Nobody else.
Only consistently because everybody because people want us to acknowledge that Stan and you know what, I will acknowledge that Stan is a great matchup for Nole. The only problem with Stan is that he's hormonal. And so we don't know
if Stan is going to show up.
Because that's the only difference. If Stan was a more consistent, and he has been consistent, he's gone to the quarters and everything. But I think if he was a consistent challenger in people's mind, in the sense that he was the one getting to the finals, we might have had a whole different story this year.
Very rarely.
I can't take you seriously if you're not going to get to the final and challenge him. Yes, you match up well. We all acknowledge that. Yes, you got that win at Roland Garros.
Let me just give a shout out to Tomas Berdych, who put down a fine performance.
Tomas Berdych, I have to say, I mean, everybody was trashing Tomas Berdych, but you know what? For somebody who was bageled the last couple of times,
on a regular basis,
to be able to actually be almost in winning positions in both of those tie breaks and mentally go away a little bit, that's fine. I know but you know what? That bodes well for him if he encounters Nole in London, because he should be able to say to himself, you know what? I played him hard in London. I can get a set. I can do something here. Because he was close, so close.
He protected that serve. He protected
his serve. Yes, that was a winning.
But here's my thing: when I was watching Andy.
Oh wait, but you know what? He played him closer than Andy did.
Well, I don't feel like Andy played him close at all. That's my point.
Yeah.
I was like, this is just stupid. This should not. This should not be. Is Andy at this moment? Is he number 2 or 3? I don't even know.
Number 2.
Okay, so we've got the number 1 and the number 2 player in the world
in a final,
as it should be. You know,
yes, this is what I wanted.
This is what everybody hopes for. Let's have the best of the best play each other.
And Marie and Serena all over again.
Marie looked like a piece of shit.
Let me tell you.
But it wasn't. But it was because Novak is so fucking good.
But Marie, no.
One and two. They're both.
Let me say what you said, Andrea.
Yes, he's right. Yes, you're right. Novak is good. But let's be fair, and even Andy acknowledged it, that Andy is not at the level that he should be when he was competing well with Novak. It's not that Novak is in some stratosphere, because usually their game, it's not very compelling, but they generally used to go back. It used to get lots of breaks,
and I appreciate
back and forth. But Andy is nowhere near.
No, he's not.
Andy's number 2, and he didn't even get to he got to the Australian Open final, but that's it. Do you know what I mean? Think about that. So it's like
Federer got to 2.
Yeah, Federer really should have been the number 2 player, but he wasn't, and he lost, and that's fine. But I'm just saying that Novak, I think Andy's number 2 ranking is, I hate to say this because it's going to sound harsh, but it's slightly inflated, so that wanting him to go up strongly against Nole is a little bit
But the reality is nobody goes up strongly against Novak consistently other than Federer. And that brings us back to what we have said time and time again. What does it say about the ATP Tour that one of the oldest men on tour is the one who consistently challenges your number 1 dominant player?
It doesn't. You know what it says? It's about matchup.
So it's a matchup.
It's a matchup. It's the matchup. His game matches up well with Novak. You can't out-defend Novak.
That's what it is. Exactly.
So Andy's game is about defense. Novak defends you well. This is the same thing with Stan. Stan and Fed have an aggressive game when they do it well. It is why
there is variety.
Yes. That's what allows him.
Well, and that's what we talked about before. That's why players with variety trouble Novak. That's why the walk-off gives him problems.
What it says about the tour, for your question though, to answer your question, what it says about the tour is that everyone in the tour is so alike.
Yes.
Exactly.
Boring.
It's easy for Nole to dominate them. That's what if you had who should and who could compete with Novak, but he's not ready for that? Somebody like a Nick. Big server, bold game. But those guys aren't in the tour. They're not in the tour pipeline.
Yeah.
So what you have are the traditional baseliners.
Don't say they're not interested. Tennis, they are.
They're not. No, I'm sorry. Anyway, we're gonna get back to the discussion.
But
I would say that watching the match, I was in such a glorious feeling this morning because Venus had already won, and there are 2 men in the final that I give 0 shit about. So I can watch it without
not any care.
I mean that's why I watched it. I didn't want to watch it. Wait, let me tell you. I totally didn't want to watch it. I do like Murray. I am a Murray fan, but I figured that he was going to lose and lose badly because whatever. But I thought, we have a podcast tonight. I have to be able to say that I've watched tennis. I swear to God, that is the only reason why I watched. Because I knew it was going to be ugly. I don't know. I don't know if it's because I'm not a fan of Novak, but I'm just tired of watching him wipe people up on the court.
I mean, the back.
Over it.
We're going to have to put the back injury. He's coming from back injury, back surgery, whatever, into it. But Murray had variety.
Have you started blaming the pregnancy yet?
No, we haven't blamed any. You know what? They've done a really successful job of not holding on to any pregnancy storyline with Murray. He's done that well.
Is she pregnant?
Yeah.
Yeah. So far.
Oh, I didn't even know.
Girl, she's pregnant by June or something. She's gonna have a baby in probably this next year.
Yeah.
Well, they've done a great job because I didn't even think him was pregnant. All right.
I think he stepped in and said no, he doesn't want that storyline. I think he doesn't want that storyline at all. But
it's also helpful that you can't get pictures of her, so that helps. She's not anywhere publicly.
And also, you can't show pregnancy storyline when his coach was pregnant recently.
That's true.
So, but
yeah, I mean, the matchup
I'm watching the match. the matchup, I was just like, Murray, did you have a game plan out there? Or your business was just not to get breadstick by Nole? That you were just not to get bagel? Because Murray has no business trying to defend from the back of the court with Nole.
But that's what he does.
But no, Murray can get to the net, and when he got to the net,
he was
successful.
But he was very successful. But that's not Murray's ultimate strategy. The interesting thing is, right, because usually in this matchup, which was supposed to be the new matchup, before, when Murray was just as quote-unquote fit as Nole, he would be fine hanging on the baseline. You know Murray likes to beat you at your game.
Right.
So that's what he liked to do. He'd like to out-hustle Nole. But no one's out-hustling Nole anymore.
Exactly.
He runs from,
and Nole gets... And that was what was frustrating me. I was watching this like, Murray, surely you can see that this isn't going to work. I mean, no, Murray. Like, he is coming up with some ridiculous angles. Boy, you cannot run as you were running like 3 years ago. Get your ass to the net. And then he's going to get to the net for a couple points. And even because Nole, can misfire. Nole does give you, I don't want to say in look. Leighton Hewitt used to say this thing about Federer. He used to say, when you get to love 30 with Federer, that is your break point. That is right there. That's it. Love 30.
But Murray was hitting.
Think about, Murray was interested in. It's almost like he was trying to prove a point. Like I could.
Yeah, he was trying to prove that he could. But did you see? He celebrated points that were part of a losing strategy. I mean, it's like the Angie strategy, like gone like 30 shot rallies, and he wins the point. I'm like, dude. That's a losing strategy.
Exactly. Dude, he is in every single service game.
It was so ugly. It was so ugly. I'm going to tell you, this is what we need to do. We need to light candles. We need to have a prayer circle. We need chicken blood, feet, pigs, whatever, and pray that the courts in London are fast.
Well, it never
But you
is.
know what? This
You're
reminded
hoping
me.
It's just a little bit faster. It never is, though. Just a little bit faster
it's
than
funny,
it was here.
Watching this matchup is like watching Federer and Diva Dow, where it's just like, Federer, why are we in the baseline? You can't hang with the Dow. You cannot. You need to find your way at the net. Even if you're going to lose, be aggressive. Come forward. It's the only way you're going to win matches.
Look like you're trying.
Exactly.
Well, it's also,
at the back of the baseline where Nole is, I'm telling you, Nole is just hitting, redirecting the ball all over the place. Like, you're giving him ammo.
The thing about Stan, too, the reason also why Stan doesn't do a lot of long rallies, generally.
And he's strong.
He's very strong, so he muscles the ball. Yeah, so he muscles the ball usually that's when he was, I have to say that match might have been the only match Nole played where the person had a lot of winners. Because, and Andy had some winners too, but his errors were ridiculous.
Because every point became so crucial. Exactly. Yeah. Every point became so crucial. Like he felt, and he felt that he had like an overhead. Andy Murray missed overhead. It was crazy. And the commentators was just like, girl, y'all out here celebrating a point. Murray's fighting for his life. Okay, he hasn't held serve yet.
It was suffocating. It was a real interesting progression though, because really what it does show is how far. Yes, you're right. How far Novak has really progressed, and in some sense where Murray has kind of regressed. Because one of the things that used to happen in their matches, which is why I like them because they're train wrecks, and is that there used to be lots of break of serves. Mm-hmm. There were none of that. You remember, you'd watch a Murray and you'd watch one of these matches, and it'd be like 3 games in, and it's
nobody
like half an hour. You know what I mean?
But this is what I don't understand about Murray. That Murray's trying to play tennis, knowing that his back isn't 100% as it was before. Like, he's still 19 years old. Like, Murray,
you know what? But the reality is he's had back surgery, and maybe his back will never be the same, and he has to figure out a way to win with his body the way that it is.
Then he has to win differently.
So let's Let's
No.
quickly, you know what? Hey, Nole, you won another one. Congratulations. So,
Oh, no.
let's,
Before we go, I just want to say this one thing because I know a lot of people think I hate Stanley for Brinker. I'm just going to say that for my money, Stanley's backhand is the best one-handed backhand out there for my money. I'm telling you.
oh, it's beautiful.
It is. That shit can do anything.
It's beautiful. It's powerful.
It can do anything.
Mm-hmm.
Federer won more with his backhand. I'm just gonna say that. But I'm just saying, stroke for stroke, impact on impact. Just looking at the main technique and technical aspect of it, I think
it's amazing.
It's an amazing shot. Like he had some amazing winners this weekend. Man, just gotta say that about it.
Let's wrap this up by talking about what is going on with Nicolas Mahut.
Well, the problem is, where is Nicolas Mahut? Is that what's going on? Where is he?
Part of the conversation.
What's that?
Have we confirmed that the tweet that went out about this alleged doping offense is actually...
it's not a doping offense.
It's not a doping offense.
It's just a failure to show up for a test.
Twice, I think he failed to show.
Yeah, this is his second time. If he does it a third time,
failed to say where he was or something like that. Yeah.
Let me ask a question, and probably none of you can answer this. Is this failure? Are you allowed 3 per annum?
3
per calendar year? So if he fails one next year,
I don't think
does it carry forward?
He's banned for a year.
That's the question. I want to find out.
I don't know.
If it happens.
For a year.
If it happens.
Yeah, if
well, that's the question is how long. It's a third. It didn't say whether it's annually, right? But I don't think it would be annual because then you'd be hearing that a lot about people missing time.
Right, exactly.
That'd be a rollover. But we should double check that. But yeah, basically, I think he said he would be at home and he stayed the night at a hotel. So when he showed up at his house, he wasn't there.
Right. He said he was supposed to be and was training, long nights or something.
So being absent for a test is almost as bad as being
failing
as failing the test on some level. Which I know people, but that's the whole point of a test. Is like if you're doping and someone says they're gonna come to find you and you're not where you say you are.
Why?
People legitimately have a right to be angry because maybe you're running around getting rid of your dope. I mean, you know what I mean? It's like people are like,
you need to make yourself available at the next possible opportunity. Like
it doesn't look good.
Yeah, people are like,
it just doesn't look good.
It's like, no,
and people may not
to needles today, but not allergic to needles tomorrow.
Right?
But people, you may think Nicolas Mahut is not in the singles race, but Nicolas Mahut is in the top 8 in doubles. So this can have a really big impact on if he is suspended. If he, so it's not just don't think of him in terms of singles. He is making
he's
doing pretty well on doubles. He won the U.S. Open this year, as a matter of fact. So if he is suspended, wherever they're going to take this retroactively, he can be in a lot of trouble, and it can affect his.
Well, the bottom line is, it is standard. You know that you have to say where you're going to be within a certain window of time every single day. You have to do that. That is what you have to do. So you don't get to say, you know what, I thought I was going to be here and then I ended up here and I missed my test. Oops, sorry. You don't get to do that without suspicion.
Why don't people use their cell phones? I mean, are you impossible to find now? Is there a place now where people are simply impossible to find? Like
I stopped believing in when Richard Gasquet said to me that he kissed a girl with cocaine and that's the trace of it. I don't understand because my thing is just like, so how you know she had cocaine on her mouth? How did you know that? And why you walk in her grill knowing that she had cocaine? So you see, when that excuse, took to life and went places, and then you started up with this Chilich business and then Troitsky, and then this fanciful explanation and whatnot. I stopped believing in what I don't pay any attention to these people anymore because when ATP telling me about drug violation, because you don't take yourself seriously and therefore the players don't take you seriously.
Yeah.
So they do whatever the fuck they want to do and they get some nice spin doctors to come along later on and make excuses and they get back and nothing ever happens. And then we only have time to wait on that thing.
Let's keep it real. Does it look like he's doping?
Well, I don't know. I just think it's kind of weird that
you're retired.
What, Karen?
He was playing double.
Retired.
He's
Oh,
playing
God.
doubles.
No, remember, I mean, he had a really nice run where
And he
everybody was
won a
really
tournament this
sympathetic
week.
because he had that nice run in grass and all that. So I mean, it's listen, just show up where you need to show up, and don't put yourself in danger of being suspended if for something as silly as not being where you say you were going to be. Come on,
Exactly.
that's like basic. That's just basic 1, 2, 3 here.
And we can't have
then
any
it leaves
sympathy for you.
Yeah, and then it leaves you open to questions about whether you are actually doping. I mean, come on. If it's a whereabouts test, then just show up
Exactly.
and say
That's what
what
I'm
you're gonna do.
saying.
And you failed not once, but twice.
Twice. So yeah, well, we'll see. But you know what? This
It
is a
doesn't
service.
look good, Nicholas. It doesn't look good.
This is clearly a service we need to offer to people. You know how you have those things where you have to be like their sober buddy? Your job is to be their test buddy. So as soon as you see a testing person coming, you're like, shit, are you where you're supposed to be? No, get him on the phone. And there you go. We offer that service. We'll make sure you show up for your
Call us. Andrine's number is.
We are free for fee. We are free for fee. Because apparently, and I would be the witness.
I'll be a witness in the room.
It's Uber for drug testing.
When the doctor tells you you don't need to take this drug test today, come back tomorrow when it's more convenient for you.
Are you sure?
I'll be a witness for that.
I'll be a witness for all of that stuff. These are the kinds of infractions that we are seeing in tennis. Weird ones, like I hate needles, or I just didn't show up for my test. So these are all preventable, tennis players. Come on.
Get your shit together. Get it together.
But I'm going to tell you something, a little secret, a little situation that I know of happened.
Are you going to be This is the final. This is your final point.
No,
right?
it's all about drug testing, which is why I don't believe half of the shit these players been saying half the time. So a player was doing a press conference and she was choking, like she had difficulty breathing.
Yeah.
Cough is blood, whatever the case may be. And a journalist offered her a cough drop, and she thought that it was going to be in one language, her native language, that it wasn't in her native language. And then she said, no, thank you. I don't know what's in it, and I'd rather not take it. Let me just get some water and whatever the case may be. And from hearing that, I thought that's rather interesting because, here a simple cough drop, like who would think, you know what I mean? It's a cough drop, like what can be in a cough drop?
Lots of things.
Exactly. Yep. If they're that conscientious about a cough drop, don't give me some bullshit about, you're not conscientious about where your ass needs to be, knowing that someone's gonna show up at your fucking house.
Yep.
Give a drug test. Don't tell me you're not conscientious enough to let somebody know. I'm supposed to get at home. I'm gonna stay at the hotel.
So that's all we want to say. Next time, tennis players, help each other out. Text each other. Find out. Do what you need to do.
Have a phone tree. Get a buddy system.
Yeah,
help me. Give me a job. Help me.
Anyway, let's wrap this up.
So, ladies and gentlemen, okay, that's wrapping up. So, we had a really good time tonight, I believe, and we talked a lot about things. So, the women's tour is completely over. Men just have the finals, and fans, we have Andrea will be in London, so she will be.
Yeah,
she'll be giving us some.
Going just as a fan to enjoy it and also to do some outside tennis gossiping, hopefully.
Perfect.
We're all for that. So we'll be trying to get you a live show, and also I believe we may be giving you a breakdown of the draw coming up this weekend, Friday. So you have an extra special half episode from us. So look forward to that. And also we have big news coming up for a special because we have a glorious end of season podcast just for you, fans. Don't forget to tweet us, put comment section, email, carrier pigeon, whatever your comments and concerns about it. We love to hear about your opinions on any of the topics that we discussed this evening, your opinions, whether you agree or disagree with us. We rarely ever agree except on Venus and Federer, that we love them because we disagree when they're doing well as well. They're doing well. So we look forward to hearing from you, fans, and don't forget to spread the word. Yeah.
Ciao,
ladies.
Bye.
Bye. Good night, Billy. Good night.